They win a Big Ten regular season championship. Dusty May. We got good coaches everywhere. Hockey coach. We got good coach. We got a good football coach. We got a good basketball coach. And we're fired up. How you doing, dude?
Dude, I'm doing great. That was an unbelievable weekend for Michigan sports. What a joy, man. March is so much fun when you're in the Final Four, of course. And then your hockey team gets into the Final Four, the Frozen Four. And your women's basketball team is in the, wins an Elite Eight game or is playing in the Elite Eight. Played a tough game against a tough team. But nonetheless, man, two of our squads are the last four standing with the national championship just 2 games away. You can't beat it. And then throw on top of that it's spring ball and we're reading a lot of things. We're hearing a lot of things. What a time to be alive, baby.
Yeah, it's a great day to be a Michigan Wolverine, man.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, let's jump right in with basketball because everybody's on that. We are in the Final Four, and we had a little scare today. We heard he had a little allergic reaction,
Cadeau, yeah.
But apparently he's okay. I don't know what the hell he ate or what he was around, but that's scary. He's such a huge part, man. After losing, Casey.
Well, they said they pulled him off the bus and checked him out and everything, and they said he was fine. But yeah, you certainly wouldn't want to come down with something on the bus heading to Indianapolis. Yeah. Jeez, Pete, what a terrible
world. Anyway, dude, there's so many little things that matter. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm a big believer in. I know what I remember playing out at Washington in football. You drive, you fly 4 hours. I'm sorry, but it ain't right. I'd rather be in my time zone. Okay,
sure.
We had Chicago. Now we're in Indy. We're in our time zone. We're a couple hours away, man. And I think all that little stuff matters. And so anyway, I like our matchup. Okay, here Arizona's a good team. Arizona, that guy's smart. He built his team just like Dusty built his team. Yeah. Very, very similar. Okay, they got a 7'3" kid, 7'2" kid, good player. He can make we got a 7'3" guy. The kid's pretty good. Okay, he's a good player. Our guy's good. I see that as a push. I don't know. I think they're going to defend each other pretty good. They're going to have a hard time scoring when those guys are in the game. They got 3 guards. We got 3 guards. Okay, they start 2 good ones. We start 2 good ones, and they have so I think it's and they can shoot threes. Their guards. Our guys can shoot threes. Okay, they got a big kid, Morris Johnson. We got Johnson. They got a kid. What's his name? Pete. I see that as a push matchup. This Pete's a hell of a player. He might be a first round pick. Here's where we're going to win the game, dude. Okay. They're a team that scores 2 at a time. They don't, their guards will shoot the 3, but the other 3 guys don't shoot threes. We got Lendeborg is going to be the difference. Okay, we got our 4 guy, Lendeborg, 3-4, whatever you want to call him. He can step out and make threes. That's where I really see, when I look at the matchup, on paper, Michigan's a 1.5 point favorite. That's what Vegas is saying. But when I see the matchup, that's the one guy that can step out and shoot. But they're going to be defended. Arizona's going to be defended like they haven't been all year. They're damn good on defense too. But they're going to be defended, and they're going to go 2 at a time and try to grind, and that's our, I think our Dusty built a team that can play defense. But I see Michigan, I see Lendeborg staying hot, being the difference in the game. I know I went long, but I like the matchup. I see the slight advantage with Lendeborg's ability to step out and make 3. Where their 3, 4, 5 guys ain't shooting no threes.
No, so they are way, way low. They rank 330th out of 335 teams at three-point shots attempted. 3-point game is not their game. They are going to pound the boards. They're number 2 in rebounding. This Toby Awaka, that guy he's 6'8", 255 pounds, and he pulls down an average of 9 boards a game. Where they want to win is in the paint, right? They're physical. They grab rebounds, and they score near the basket. They're not going to shoot a bunch of threes. We shoot more than them. We're pretty good at it. But this game is going to be it's going to be a rugby match. They're tough. They're built tough. They're not flashy, and this is obviously 2 number 1 seeds, but this is the number 3 and number 4 team of the best Ken Palm team in history in Ken Palm history. Michigan's number 3, Arizona's number 4, all time in Ken Palm. So this is a heavyweight matchup, and man, it's going to be a tough game. We do have the advantage that we are playing in the Eastern time zone where they're playing. They're coming back here, so their body clock's off a little bit. I don't put a whole lot of stock in that. I do put stock in it in football. Teams that traveled out west struggled in the Big Ten, and then teams out west who had to come east, they struggled when they came here. But it's who's going to rebound, and like you said, Lendeborg, he has had a really good couple of games, just dominating performances. And Dusty talked about that. Hey, what about getting 30? He's not worried about how many points he gets. He's worried about the win. He's not. They shared the ball. Some of the passing in the Tennessee game was like it was a clinic. It was so nice, and they were passing it around, and they passed 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Found Cadeau in the corner. Found Lendeborg up front. They were really, really well-oiled machine on Sunday. This is a whole different game. This is going to be played in the paint by the key, and the foul trouble, man. We got to watch the fouls. That's really what hurt. If you look at the beginning of that game against Tennessee, it was a pretty tight ball game. It was 16-14 Tennessee, but they started getting in foul trouble, and all 3 of their big guys had 2 fouls in the first half, within the first 10 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, well, that's key, dude. You got to be able to defend without fouling. You got to defend without fouling. Listen, Arizona hasn't been defended like they're going to be defended Saturday. I just don't think they have.
Yeah, there's that. But we also, we are going to see some rebounding that, they are ferocious around the boards. Yeah. And so that, when you're up fighting for a ball, sometimes you pick up a ticky-tack foul. I just hope, I thought that Tennessee game, the officiating was way too ticky-tacky, right? They were quick on the whistle. There a couple of them weren't even fouls. And I just hope that the referees do not insert themselves in the game like I felt they did against Tennessee. This isn't the ref show. This is the Final Four. Let these teams play. Obviously, you hack a guy when he's going up, it's clear. But going for a ball, let these guys play and let the chips fall where they may. It's going to be, man, what a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be
wait.
A hell of a challenge, and who can handle the stress. And these kids have played big games all year. So just a couple of thoughts on some things I had heard. Dusty made some comments about some agents, an agent of one of his current players. Dusty was talking about, hey, this is what's going on, man. One of his agents of one of his current players is like, hey, man, I got offers. My guy's got this much from this school, that much. They're already negotiating. And Dusty told the guy, hey, man, I don't know that we can match that. I don't know if you read that. But I thought that's so interesting that there's so much going on right now, well before the portal officially opens, that there's negotiating, there's bobbing and weaving. I mean, we let Trey Donaldson go. Dusty let him go. And that's where we're at, man. And that's the magic of what you have to, the skill you have to have as a leader now in college football, college basketball. Is you might have a dude for 1 year, and you got to make you got to evaluate and make great decisions based on that. And you might have to let Donaldson go and go get Cadeau over here because there's something about Donaldson. You said, you know what, I'm gonna let him go. I can't afford him, or I like Cadeau for this reason, whatever. But that's the magic of where we're at. We got a leader that knows how, he has a great staff, and he knows how to play that game, that business game of sitting down and saying, hey, man, I'm sorry, I can't help you. But anyway, I just wanted to comment on that because it's important. A lot of these guys are failing in that department.
Well, I tell you what, in my opinion, the ones that are failing the system are these so-called agents. And they're getting in the player's ear through DMs, or they're getting into the family ear, and they're feeding them with lines. And look at how many people or how many players were in the football portal. Thousands, 4,000, 5,000 guys. And a whole bunch of those guys were being led by an agent who only had dollar signs in their eyes. And guess what? Those guys don't have a team, right? A lot of those guys are not playing football anymore. They left the program to go and hunt something down based on the word of some dude whose only skin in the game is how much money he can make. They have got to get these agents. They're not even registered agents like the NFL. These guys are taking a way bigger cut than the NFL agents do, and they're cheating the system. And that's something that the NCAA addressed just today. And they're talking about these ghost transfer portal type things where exactly what you said. They're getting in the ear of people and trying to get players to negotiate their way a higher salary with their current team or negotiate some fictitious offer from another team to get a raise. And a lot of it is bull crap. Yeah. And these players are being led astray. So anyway, it's a tangent. It takes away from what is going to be a great weekend, but that stuff's got to stop.
Yeah. Well, Wynn hired a pro. He's been in it for 20 years. He's Pelican, and he's got some people he hired, and you got to be full force, smart dudes, knowing how to bob and weave in that, and hopefully have a bankroll. But let's go over there. This is our agenda for today. Can you see it up there?
Oh yeah, looks good.
Okay, so we're gonna get it. We covered. We're all done with hoops. We're gonna talk spring ball. We got some inside scoop. We're talking to people, hearing things, reading things. Talk about the coaches in the secondary. Two good coaches. They divvy it up. They do not. There is not one guy coaching the secondary, which is interesting. Two real good ones there. And
before we move on to football, right? We got a comment in the chat from Mizzlemar 0726. The University of Michigan operates with a much larger financial scale than the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, reporting a total enterprise revenue of $15.6 billion. I don't know what that is. $15.6 billion for fiscal year 2025. That must, I don't know. Anyway, just talking money here and how there's talk about North Carolina has kind of halted their coaching search until after the Final Four. Well, immediate people think that must mean they're waiting to talk to one of these Final Four coaches. And Dusty May. And I just, first of all, Ward came out and says he's going to work on making Dusty May, I don't know if he said the highest paid coach, but he's going to work on a contract to keep Dusty here for the rest of his career. And Dusty, he was just talking about it, I think, in the latest press conference. I mean, it sounds to me like this guy's found a home and he's not looking to go anywhere. And I don't understand why anybody would think he would want to go somewhere. I don't think that Chapel Hill, playing, a few miles away from Duke and battling for the sunshine in that area in the ACC, when the Big Ten has now, with the NIL, proven that they have as much money and can swing as big a bag as anybody to get the players that they need. And Dusty May is the perfect example of what you can do with all this money that the Big Ten and Michigan has.
Yeah, North Carolina, Shire over there got him fired. People talk about the 8. No, I know what it is to coach, man. The dude, your rival's coach, that's the guy you got to beat. You don't have to be talking about the AD firing you. You got to, he's got to outcoach Shire. Dusty's got to compete with Izzo and all the people around here to keep your job. But yeah, he ain't going nowhere. The tradition of these programs is not a big of a thing anymore. I mean, look at Indiana football. They did it right overnight. You got the right guy, and you get the right players, and you got the right alumni that's helping you. So anyway, we're fired up about basketball. We're confident and feeling real good. I really like the matchup. Yeah, they're darn good. They are good. That's the last team in the country I'd want to play. But Dusty built his team to win a game like that. It's a perfect matchup for us where, we're going to match up and defend them. Do a couple things, man. Let's get right into football now. I was able to meet the strength coach, Doug Elisaia. He goes way back. he knows a guy. He knows guys I know from high school coaches he was at Wayne State 25 years ago. So he was in the Motor City coaching, man, as a young guy, and he's got some. I had a little talk with him. He's got some unique philosophies, and they're going twice a day for winter conditioning, and they don't always go by a structured routine. Sometimes he'll just say, they out of nowhere, maybe the kids need a break. You know what I mean? Based on some of the feeling and the testing that they do, is like, okay, we normally do this on certain days, but no, man, we're just going to give them a break because they feel that the body hasn't recovered enough. You know what I mean? So the guy's really new tech in terms of figuring out where the body is. And, we used to just, hey, we did, man, we lifted Monday, we had certain days that we lifted during the season, and that was it. It was locked in. I think he's a guy that adjusts based on where they are. It may not be the same every week.
Brings up a good point. So, we talk about how football now is a year-round sport. These coaches are coaching year-round. I'm trying to think back when we were there. Do you think we put in more time during the week and throughout the year back then? Or are these guys doing more of it now?
I don't know, dude. I my last 2 years, I was a starter. I was there at 12:30. I had to be at the building at 12:30. I didn't get home till 7:30 after training table.
Right.
Okay, so you do the math. That was my schedule for my last 2 years as a college football player. 12:30 to 7:30.
And we started in July, right? Middle of July, right?
Yeah.
Was it the middle? Yeah,
we started. We officially started 3 weeks before the first game. These guys start earlier. They don't have doubles though.
Right. So
it's
we were
smarter.
there.
They don't beat the hell out of their bodies for 2 weeks.
And remind. So when we had fall practice and it started, and we were in fall practice, we had 2
weeks of doubles and then game week.
Yeah, 7 o'clock meetings, right? 7 a.m. 7 a.m. meetings. Get out on the field. We're out there for a couple hours. Go shower. Back in a meeting. Go to lunch. Get a little bit of rest. Come back. Quick meeting. Practice. Go to dinner. Meetings.
Yeah, double sessions were crazy, dude. It was like that's something that guys did back in the 30s when dudes were working on the farm all day or wherever, and you say, let's try to get them in shape in 2 weeks. It was crazy to even do that in our era because we were in shape. We didn't need to have double sessions.
And we were off season.
Anyway, they're not doing it no more. They're smarter. These guys are so much smarter in everything they do. The strength and conditioning. They don't beat them up. They get they keep their strength throughout the season. They eat differently. But let's get into some other. Anyway, I talked to him. I met him. He's a proud former Wayne State Warrior. Beck had some thoughts and some comments, and I was listening to him, and I was trying to dissect what's he saying, what's he not saying, looking at his film, and I'm trying to get a feel for how he thinks. But 6 offensive linemen is in the mix. It's coming. He talked about it. He believes in it. He's a multi-formation, grouping. Mess with the defense. Figure it out. I'm 6 offensive one time. I'm next play. I'm empty with 5 wide receivers in there. Next play, I'm this. So he is a guy that is totally committed to messing with, the defense. He has. I think there's a lot more on what he does do, where the QB has to make decisions. Listening to him talk and listening to some other people I've talked to, the quarterback in his offense has to really, really make a lot of decisions once the ball is snapped. There's a little bit of pre-snap, but there's a lot of it post-snap once the ball is snapped, reading things. From what there might be a little, and that's why we have 15 practices, and we'll have that. But Bryce will figure it out, and our quarterbacks will figure it out. But that's something that I got from that. Anything else? Did you listen to his thoughts?
Yeah, I did. And
what else you got?
Some notes. So, and he talked about the one thing that stood out was getting Bryce as many reps as he could possibly get right now, right? It is a new system. Are they going to do some things? Yeah, they're going to run inside zone like we've done. We've run outside zone. They're going to do all that stuff that these guys were familiar with last year and back to the Harbaugh days. But because of all this pre-snap motion and all of that reading, pre-snap reads, and then the post-snap reads, the only way he's getting his arms around that is more reps, more reps, more reps. Jim used to say, you get better at football by practicing football. And that's definitely the case with Bryce. And it is a new system. So just like anything, you start a new job, there's some learning curve there, and you're not going to come out of the gate just, throwing touchdowns and long first downs. It's going to take some time. You need to get as many reps as possible, and that's what they're doing right now. Talked about running the ball. He says, hey, yeah, if the quarterback's got talent for it, not afraid to run the ball, then yeah, we're going to incorporate that. We want to play to his strengths. And so running the ball is part of it if Bryce is good at it. If he's not good at it, then we got to go a different way, right?
Yeah.
Do what they do best is what he said. And so if they can run the ball, then that's a weapon, and that's fine. If guys aren't good runners, then they can get themselves hurt by running. But if guys are good runners, they're comfortable doing it, and they excel at it, then we'll have good success. So that's important. He talked about Buchanan. I really like this. He talked about J.J. Buchanan, and they were asking him, how did this guy, as a freshman, come out like that? And he was not an early enrollee. This is really interesting, man. I think this is great. This says everything about this kid. He was not an early enrollee. So he came to campus after he graduated high school, does a little bit of the summer conditioning, and we used to have 7-on-7s, player-driven 7-on-7s back in our day. And then camp started, and he said, yeah, we start camp, and you see this kid, and hey, who's that kid that made that play? Who's the kid that made that play? And then you watch him closely, and he's like, we got to get that kid more reps. Lo and behold, the guy's been on campus for a month last year. That tells you everything you need to know about this guy's talent and hard work and capability of processing the whole complex offense and excelling at it. What a weapon to have, because you're going to put him out there along with Andrew Marsh. That's a hell of a receiving core, just those two. But then we have French, and then we have Goodwin, and then we have Salisi Moa, who's working at the slot. They got a lot of weapons, man. So they're all learning this. A lot of them are young. A lot of them are learning this. Nice thing about JJ and some of these other guys that came over from Utah is that they're familiar with the system, right? Yeah. And so they can help, and they are. And, man, that's exciting news. And then finally, he was talking about Hyder. I think everybody likes to hear about that. Hyder, the 5-star freshman, comes in there, and what he said about Hyder was, we've been impressed with just how hard he goes and competes in everything all the time. So it's not a thing where you just show up as a true freshman and you're trying to figure your way around. He said, man, he's here and he's going as hard as he can go. And, if you don't know everything about the offense because you're a freshman who's been there for 5 practices now, the one thing you can control is how hard you practice. You listen, you learn. Yeah, you got to crack a few eggs and break some shells to make an omelet, but you just go as hard as you can, and that's apparently what Hyder's doing. So good news there. And then finally, you talked about Jim Harding, and it was Witt who gave the job to Beck, but he said, hey, to Jay Hill, and he was talking about, hey, you got control, you're the coordinator, but I'm asking you, I want you to think hard about this guy, Harding. I really want him to let him know. You said you'd have the control, but I really want you to keep him because he's that good of an O-line coach, and Witt knows what he's talking about. So that's good for us on the offense.
Yeah, he was. Witt, that's interesting. I mean, Witt was 5-7 the year before. He's like, man, I'm gonna go get me an offensive guy. We're playing good defense. And he just said, to hell with it. I'm going to hire a guy. And he gave him a lot of authority to hire assistant coaches. And Beck, it was a great hire by Witt.
Yeah.
And they had a great year last year. And he made a great decision based on, he didn't always have the best players, but schematically, Beck is a problem. He's a problem. And that's what we want. We want a guy that ain't just going to count on talent, But dude, the ups, we coach. You and I both coach. It's reps. But guess what, man? We were both on the field when Jim Harbaugh got hurt in 1984. And how many reps did our backup quarterback get? We don't know. I was always that guy that, man. I told my offensive coordinator, man, our backup quarterbacks are going to get reps. We're going to have guys ready. When that kid gets hurt, our team is not going to be crapping their pants, sweating. No, they're going to have confidence because they've seen it in practice that the backup and the third string kid have gotten reps. So that's always the balance in juggling match, as a coach that you have to play. So that's something there that they have to deal with reps. But getting back to him talking about, I'm trying to decipher where we're at, but I'm hearing things. I'm looking at film from last year, and Beck says, "Well, we're going to adapt to our okay." But let me tell you, there's a foundation of what he believes in, and a lot of it is, the deceptive stuff. Jet sweep one way, quarterback power the other way, or zone the another. You know what I mean? And then passes off all. So I really believe that there's some foundational stuff that he believes in, and I think we're going to see quarterback run. We're going to see just a ton of deceptive stuff. And
we talked about this, a couple of months ago. How many times he ran his quarterback, both the starting quarterback at Utah and the backup quarterback had 10 rushing touchdowns each last year. So that shows you two things. One, obviously they run the quarterback, but two, they get that backup quarterback in there for some real live, meaningful reps.
That's right.
Just like you said, you don't want to be caught with your pants down because you gave all the reps to your first guy you did not get your second guy prepared. Michigan is not doing that right now. I believe that, obviously Bryce is going to get the most reps, but right now the only other quarterback on campus, I think, is Tommy Carr. I mean, you have Herb Street and Smeagol, but really, the two guys that you're running with right now is 1A, Bryce, and then your backup, Carr. We just found out, by the way, that Colin Hurley, that's the young kid that played at LSU last year. He is not with the team anymore. He is not going to play for Michigan this year.
So we really need the Colorado State kid. He's definitely coming in. What's his name again?
Nicolosi. Yeah.
So he's definitely coming in. He'll be. You got to believe number two. But we're hearing great things about young Carr. Carr's an athletic kid. I saw him play in high school. I know his old man. I know his grandpa. The kid's an athletic. He's an athletic kid. He's going to run around, man. He's going to run around every bit, But the future's good. He's got to get stronger. But what else about football here?
One more thing Beck said that I thought was super important, and this is really important and I wrote down this is an important piece of information for recruitniks and stargazers. I am not that, all right? We saw a lot of All-State and All-American guys when we were at Michigan. Damn near all of them were All-State, and a good handful of them were All-American. And you know what that translated to at Michigan? Nothing, all right?
Absolutely.
Nothing. Here's an important quote from Beck. He says, "Who's making plays? Who can you trust? Who do you trust getting the job done for everybody else on the field? This is the most important component of a successful team."
Absolutely.
Get these guys rep. You got to find out pretty dang quick. Can you trust this guy? Right?
Yeah.
Those are the guys you're running with. It doesn't matter if you're a 3-star or a walk-on in that case. If you're a 5-star, but if you can't be trusted on the field, you're not getting on the field.
Listen, there's 10 offensive linemen that can play. They're all big, tall, strong, fast, tough, athletic dudes. Same thing with the D-line. And you and I saw it. Who's gonna make the mental mistake?
Yep.
Who's gonna be absolutely sound every damn play? Mike Mallory. You saw him on the hoof. You say, how's he gonna play? Captain at Michigan, great player, never out of position, always where he had to be. So that's what these coaches are finding. You got a guy that's covering the wrong guy, in the wrong zone, in the wrong gap. Those guys get out of the game. I got to get a guy. I have an inferior guy that gets lined up right. So you and I understand that.
Yeah, you had mentioned this guy before and talked about how he didn't get an offer until the last day, and turned out to be an awesome team leader and a great center, John Vitale.
Absolutely.
That guy, he was a strong guy. So was everybody else. He wasn't fast, but man, you could trust him because he could make the calls, he could make the blocks. He was a student of the game, worked his ass off, and you could 100% trust you. I saw that guy get in a fight with another guy who was a higher rated recruit who never played it down at Michigan because that guy was being a jerk. And not for the team. He was out there for himself. And those guys scrapped right. We used to have a freshman locker room. The freshman locker room was over here, and then the varsity locker room was over there. There was no freshman team, but there was a freshman locker room. And Vitale took that guy and just straightened him out.
Okay, dude, go break us down with the secondary. We've got the Witt breaks it down. He wants 2 secondary coaches, 2 legitimate stud coaches. One guy coaches the 2 safeties, one guy coaches the 2 corners, and we got 2 good ones, and we got a ton of talent and a lot of competition in that secondary. Who the hell's going to come out of that? I don't know. Break down our secondary coaches and our players there the best you can.
All right. So for the cornerbacks, Gennaro Gifford, he spent 10 years coaching corners at BYU, and he had an all-conference career at BYU as a corner. The thing, and this guy had he was all conference. He had a lot of interceptions, and really that's his philosophy. His defense takes away a lot of passes. They're right up there at the top for turnovers and interceptions, and that's an important aspect of his game. He knows secondary. He's been doing it basically his whole football career, playing secondary. Very active and enthusiastic coach. He's upbeat, got a lot of energy. Demanding, but when we talk about demanding, what we're looking for is he's trying to build trust with his players, and he wants them on the field so he can trust them. And right now, it's no surprise the defense is probably a little bit further along than the offense because really the defense isn't learning a whole new system. It's pretty much basically what we've been doing. Offense has got some other components to it that make it more complicated. But the defense is playing faster right now because they don't have so much to think about. Jair Hill, Zeke Berry at the corners. 2 upperclassmen, 2 guys that got a lot of experience starting. Great base and foundation for your secondary. And then at safeties, Tyler Stockton. He was a co-DC and safeties coach at Boise State. Before that, he was at Ball State. He was the defensive coordinator at Ball State, and they won the MAC conference for the first time in 2 decades. The guy's a winner. And then prior to that, he played DL for Notre Dame back in 09.
That's interesting. You got a guy, but that's what you got to do. If you want to be a head coach or a coordinator. Yeah. How many former defensive linemen are secondary coaches? Right. You never see it. Exactly. But you know what? Witt is a smart coach. And he understands that the way you get great coaches is you develop them. You let them develop so that they can be coordinators or head coaches one day. And you got to say, okay, you'd rather coach D-line, but you got to get guys out of their comfort zone to develop them as potential coordinators.
We get back to the word trust. He had so much trust in a guy that was a defensive lineman in college that he had enough trust and faith in him that, hey, if I give you this position, I trust that you'll succeed at it. He wouldn't give it to somebody he didn't have faith in. Yeah. So obviously, Witt has a lot of faith in the guy. This Stockton, he was nominated for the Broyles Award 3 times. That's pretty good. I mean, you got to be a pretty good,
that's real good.
Assistant. And then he was named to the American Football Coaches Association 35 under the age of 35 list in 2021, and ESPN's 45 top minority coaches under the age of 45 in 2022. This guy's very well regarded, and he's got look who he's got in the secondary. Mason Curtis returns. He's healthy. He's back practicing. Jordan Young and Rod Moore. I think everybody expects Rod Moore to be back. I think Rod Moore expects to be back. And, man, I cannot tell you how important that is. He is a great player. Last year when he made it onto the field, I was so happy for him because, coming back from that injury, That was serious. And he flashed in a game. They threw a pass out to the flat, and I saw this flash go across the field. It was at the game. I'm like, who the hell was that? And it was Rod Moore. What a great sign for a guy who's coming off an injury. Unfortunately, it wasn't long after that he was sat out the rest of the year. Getting Rod Moore back, Mason Curtis, a couple guys that started last year, Jordan Young, and then this Memphis transfer. If a lot of you are probably on Twitter, Michigan football put out 4 videos. I think it was on Monday, right? 4 quick clips. And one of them was number 7, who didn't have his name on the back of his jersey. One of the few guys, if maybe the only guy, who didn't have his name on the back of his jersey, made an interception in the end zone. And there's a lot of good talk about Chris Bracey. So you got some personnel, you got some talent, you got some experience, and now you have 2 really good coaches. And they're, like you had pointed out already, one of them's coaching the corners, the other one's coaching the safeties. And I think you need that. I think you need specific coaches. And obviously Whit feels the same way. That's why he's got them.
Yeah, these are decisions the head coach has to make, is that he's got Harding coaching the whole offensive line by himself. He's got one dude coaching 5 guys. And there's a lot of, when we played, we had 2, guards and centers and tackles. He's got one guy. He's got Freddie Witt, his brother, coaching the tight ends. And now he gives the extra coach to the defense. So you got 2 guys coaching the secondary. So those are decisions that a head coach has to make. You know what I mean? That everybody doesn't go by that.
Well, there was, yeah. So he was at practice. He was he was coaching, but they have one of the analysts who can now be on the field and coach. They had somebody there helping with the O-line, but definitely Harding was the captain of the ship, without a doubt.
Okay, that's right. They do. You know what? They all do have, but those are 2 official coaches, but they all have a guy with them. And back when we played, they were GA. They were a 20-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid. These guys are legitimate coaches. I mean, he's got this Knorr guy. This Knorr dude has been coaching. He was the defensive coordinator at Air Force when they had great defenses. He's got some guys that are analysts and back assistant, whatever the hell you want to call them, that are big time coaches.
There are so many coaches on the field at practice.
Yeah. Anyway, listening to Troy Bowles, and he said, listen, there's a lot of the same stuff, just different terminology. We used to call it, when I was with the Raiders there, it's like, okay, what would we call it at Michigan? We called it solid coverage. At the Raiders, they just had a different name. I just had to get all my thinking spun around. It's the exact same stuff, but they're using different terminology. So the players are, it comes fast. It takes a couple weeks.
Reps,
to get it all down, but you just have to. It's the same thing, man. It's you got it. Same exact stuff, different language, different terminology. He talked about they do more things to free up linebackers, so they probably do a bigger. We did a lot of 3 technique, 1 technique to protect the backers with Minter and Wink.
Right.
But Bowles thought maybe there's a little more emphasis on freeing up linebackers, where you don't need maybe as big a guy. Anyway, that was interesting. That was of note. A couple comments from players. I like hearing discipline. They keep talking about discipline. Again, though, when the players are talking about, oh, we got so much discipline and we got to be here on time. That's a slap in the face to the other coach. I'm sorry, but it is. It's a slap in the face to the other guy when they talk about, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do. But
one of the comments was, you got to be 10 minutes early. The meeting starts 10 minutes early, and if you're not there, if you're there on time, you're late. And then somebody had a comment that was, yeah, it's not like before where guys would roll in whenever they wanted. What?
That's unheard of.
What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You cannot run a team like that, man. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's unheard of. In our era, I saw one dude once come in late for a meeting, and that guy was running for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I remember the look on Bo's face when that guy walked in late. It was like, I never seen it again. Yeah. Everybody was 15 minutes early. Anyway, you're hearing it and you're seeing it. So that's love. That is a loving language I want to hear, man. Kerry Combs, secondary coach.
Yeah.
I actually bumped into him, fired up. He's the same dude, man. I met him 40 years ago when he was coaching high school, and coaching Michigan's camp for 15 years together with him. He's the same, fired up, chomping at the bit, like he's a 25-year-old GA, man. So he talks about changing schemes, and the punt, just punting the ball, is a bunch of formations now. It's an offensive play. They don't come out in the same formation anymore. So he talked about changing schemes, and making things difficult for the punt return people, and vice versa. And another thing that I thought was interesting with kind of when we played, Bo had the punt team, but there was a bunch of coaches that had responsibilities on the punt team. One guy had guards and centers, one guy had. Sure. That's how I did it when I coached. I had all my coaches helping, but Kerry Combs says that all of the coaches have roles in the special teams. That's old school, the way we kind of did it. So these guys might have a position on the punt team, or a couple players on the punt return, or maybe they're helping the scout. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. Kerry Combs is in charge of it, but he delegates to those guys. Any thoughts on that?
And so at practice, he is a spark plug, man. I don't know how old he is. Is he older than us?
He's like I'm 62. He's probably 63, 64 maybe.
So he's right up there, a little bit older than me. Man, that guy's got some energy. I'm telling you, he is. And even when it wasn't like when the special teams, he ran the special teams, right? And specific components of the special teams, right? He's working on this component. Not all 11 guys out there. We're going to work on this side of it, or in the middle, or whatever. We're going to work on this drill. But like you said, all the other coaches were getting the next group up. They were calling out their guys, where it was the DB coach. I think it was Gennaro was getting his DBs, get them lined up so then the next guy's in. But then after special teams is over and they're not doing anything special teams related, he's over on the sidelines, still coaching, still, Yeah,
because dude, when you do the math, okay, when you run an offensive football play in practice, okay, you have 5 guys looking at those 11 kids. Okay, it makes no sense for one special team coach and his assistant to try to watch 11 guys. No, you have to delegate. I would say, I had all my coaches we all had a responsibility when we used to work on punt, and I think he's doing it the same way. Say, look, okay, Harding, you got the tackle and tight end on this, whatever. But they have it delegated so that every time they run a special team play, there are eyes on players. You can't just have, So anyway, I liked hearing that because I understand it as a coach. I'm at the gym today, walking in, and I've met him many times. Who do I see? Deion Johnson, Will's old man.
Yeah.
He's dressing a little better than when I saw him back in. His son's making a couple $. He's a great dude, man. I saw him, and he's in good shape, and he's working like. You ever have any running with him?
No, I haven't run into him. The only guy I run into at the gym on occasion is Greg McMurtry. I see him there. Man, he's just the quietest dude, man. He just goes about his business. He does his stuff. He's not there to. He is as grounded as anybody you'll ever meet, man. Good dude, really good dude, great football player.
So, anyways, some more sad news. Legend Jerry Hanlon. We both know Jerry Hanlon. He was Bo's offensive line coach forever. Highly respected from not just his position group, any and everybody that played at Michigan that had the opportunity to meet Coach Hanlon, and listen to him talk. Great communicator, great motivator, cared about everybody. His players loved him. He was hard on them. I never forget, this is when I knew I was in college, big-time college football, because I didn't see that kind of coaching, man. I'm a little freshman coming into Ann Arbor, and first or second practice, man, I see Jerry Hanlon, about 5'7", Jerry Hanlon. He's got Ed Moransky, 6'7", by the face mask, and he's just ripping him. He's, spitting on him, and I said, well, this ain't Kansas anymore, man. So anyway, but then he's going to give that love too. So anyway, rest in peace, Jerry Hanlon. And we all remember. I just remember the 1983 Michigan State game where Michigan State and Perlish were talking junk about recruiting and beating Michigan and all this kind of stuff. And Bo let him give the pregame speech. He let Jerry Hanlon give the pregame speech. I never was part of a locker room ever in all my years in football that was so fired up and so ready to freaking crush somebody. We beat the hell out of them, and it was an unbelievable locker room. And Jerry Hanlon had guys in tears, and it was an unbelievable. But I loved him. Jerry Hanlon, rest in peace. Any Hanlon thoughts?
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, that one hit hard. Jerry, for those that know, was such a big part of Michigan football and such a big voice. And we're talking about a guy that was probably 5'5". But man, you could hear him from 3 blocks away. And like you said, he was tough and he was demanding, but at the end of the day, he cared about you. He cared about your schooling. He cared about your family. He cared about your, well-being. But what a presence! Just a huge personality. Been a part of Michigan football for a long time. Even after he retired, he hung around. And every time you went to something football related and Hanlon was there, the crowd was around Jerry Hanlon because that guy, he could tell stories, but he just wanted to talk, and everybody wanted to talk to him. And it's really a big loss, and it really hurts to lose.
Yeah,
another
dude,
guy.
I worked the camp. I worked Michigan's camp for many years, 15 or so years, and they'd have 150 high school coaches, 150 college coaches, 3,000 some kids. Anyway, Thursday night, that was the last night, and everybody knew, after the coaches are going to go, we're going to have a couple beers up at Frazier's Pub, and Coach Hanlon's going to tell stories. And that was like a highlight. Everybody would just love to hear. And Brady Hoke was a highlight too, because Brady had some good stories too. But dude, we got to look at film. We're going to look at 5 minutes of film, man.
All right, before we get to that though, I want to read these comments here. So we got a couple of them. Kyle Whittingham will have the team ready. I do not doubt that, and I don't think anybody else does either. Scar, you're a legend. Yes, you are. And then the breakthrough says my biggest concern is defensive line and pass rush. I could tell you that those guys they are putting in the work and putting in the reps, and they will have them ready. We had some good news. John Henry Daly had reported that he's kind of jogging around, so his progress is moving in the right direction. I think you're going to be happy with Dom Nichols. I think Cam Brandt.
I tell you, speaking about the edge position, I think we're going to have two really, really good ones. But the key, I think, at that position is developing young guys that haven't had much clock. I don't know how to say. I'm sorry, Edupaye. There's young, talented kids, and as far as the pass rush, we're going to have to manufacture it with shifting and stunts and safeties, because you're going to see when you watch BYU, they get a lot of pressure from exotic looks where they get people, missing blocks. So anyway, go ahead. Anything else there?
Yeah, and then he said the breakthrough also says that he agreed about the slap in the face, hearing about how guys were rolling in whenever they wanted. He said he's never heard that at Michigan. Well, I can promise you, up until that point, it never happened at Michigan. So, yeah, that is quite the indictment, but that's in the past. That stuff's not happening anymore, and the ship is pointing in the right direction.
Let's just look at a couple minutes of film because, anyway, here's Nickel. Here's the nickel package. This looks just like we would have looked, except this kid is, down in a three-point stance. More than likely, though, you say it's no big thing, but he's probably not going to drop in coverage. So that restricts some of the things you can do. But here's a big tight end. This is one of the first things I'm looking for to do at the spring game. Are they going to convert a big tackle to a tight end? But here's quarterback run, and just kind of a power. We ran that exact same blocking scheme last year with Bryce. We ran it against Nebraska we ran that play is in the book. But what are we going to do? I heard Hogan Hansen. My sources say he's gotten a lot bigger. He looks like he's 15, like a Scooney type size, maybe a 255-pound kid.
Yeah, Hopefully he stays healthy this year because he's had some injury problems. But we also need Zach Marshall to get healthy because he's going to be a big part of the offense.
Yeah, he's gotten bigger and stronger too. Dude, a lot of short passes. Okay, I'm getting a feel of if I had to do a scouting report, and I'm defending Michigan, you've got a lot of deception. You know, you've got jet one way, quarterback power the other way, zone this way. Like let's just take this play here. I think that the fundamental foundation of Michigan is going to be, okay, you got to honor jet this way. You may get quarterback power this way or a run back this way, but I think there's a ton of, the more I'm watching film, there's a lot of short passing.
Yeah.
Short passing, quarterback run, short passing, deception off of every time he puts the ball in the mesh point. So that's kind of there's again, short passing, which is great. Get an athlete, make them miss, short passing, high percentage stuff.
You're right. 100%, and that is going to be a part of the plan. And on that play, like there, just like you said, short passing and let these specialists make a play. When you get a guy the ball out on the edge, you expect that guy to beat one dude, break one tackle, and then let's see what happens.
Yeah, so I think I think you're going to see more and more emphasis from this team. I'm gonna tell you, I'm just a firm believer, and if people want to know about what our team's going to be, this is the game that Scar and Do are going over. This tells you we got our offensive coordinator and running it against our defensive coordinator at BYU. So we're just going to look at about 5, 6, couple more plays, and
you can't find a better representation of what's going to happen this fall than watching this game.
No, I know. But we'll be breaking the spring game down. Hopefully it'll be on TV. We'll be looking at that in about 3 weeks, breaking that down. So let's move along. Here's a 4th and 3 play. What is Beck running 4th and 3? 4th and 3. It's 4th and 3, and the BYU defense is running the 1975 Michigan defense. They're slanting 3 players to the left. That's 1975, 85 Michigan defense right there. You know, and that's what they ran at BYU when we played them, in 1984. You know, he talks about his foundation, but what are they running on offense? He's an empty. So Beck is an empty on 4th and 3, and he's running quarterback power type of, he's pulling a backside guard. He's pulling the backside guard. He's blocking everybody down.
Or left guard, sorry.
Yeah, he's blocking everybody down, and he's pulling the backside guard, and he's just kind of powering in there, and they get him stopped. BYU,
I wonder if he picked the wrong hole there because the pulling guard, it was wide open outside.
Yeah, he saw something inside there.
Yep.
And how you're going to come off. This guy's they're ball blocking down, and he's coming to kick out. That play is probably supposed to hit in there.
I think it's supposed to go. Watch the guard. He logs around. There's nobody there.
There's nothing there. You're absolutely right. There's nothing out there. You got to read it. But you got, you just like you talked about reps. That's the kind of play, That's the kind of play where you don't want to get your quarterback hurt in spring football, but he has to run the play. You know what I mean? You have to run it live to know, what the hell am I doing? Yeah, he saw something in there.
All right. Now you can see the hole that he saw.
Yeah.
And he thought he could squeak through there.
I like this. Look at this. This is again, the offense. This is Beck. What's Beck doing here? He's got a detached tight end here. It's one of them splits where they try to screw you. And they hope you're a dummy. They hope you're a dummy and you line this guy up here.
Yep.
Okay, they want you to line them up there. And what do they run? What is Beck running? He's running trap, thinking that the guy's maybe going to lie. You might throw some bait at him, but I like Hill. Hill says, you know what? I'm not taking the bait. I'm going to line up. I'm going to line up my guy inside there and play your trap play.
And so then you have the nickelback who's going to have.
So he's just killing trap. You see it? Yeah, he didn't even honor the split of the tight end. If that make you understand that as a coach.
No, the edge guy blew the play up. The linebacker had a great scrape.
And a lot of times offenses will do that to you to try to get you to widen out so they can run a trap play in here. Yep. And obviously Beck, this guy didn't even honor it. And he's like, screw you. I know it's just a pump fake. But Beck is trying to screw him, which is good. I like seeing coaches do those things. And he didn't even honor it. He just kills the trap, and it's a dead play. That's coaching, and that's not taking the bait. Dude, that's all I had, man. I just wanted, we're like that. We're nuts. We were looking at film. But, we got good reports on tight ends are bigger and stronger. Hogan is bigger. Buchanan, from what I'm hearing, he's you know what I think he's going to give us, JJ? I think he's going to give us a Colston Loveland type of kid on every down. We used to have to split him out, and he was a big matchup problem, 6'5". Buchanan is that type of kid, 6'3", athletic kid, and he's there. He's a slot receiver, and he's a problem. He's a big, strong kid with athletic ability, not like some little receiver.
Yeah, when he's got a whole year's worth and earned every second of it, a whole year's worth of playing out there and being a huge part of their offense, what a great addition. That was a hell of a get by the coaches and Witt. And then again, you throw in Andrew Marsh, who I think Jair Hill said today, he can't cover that guy, man. He's getting everything. And that's just, once you get this quarterback settled in and comfortable with the system, comfortable with the reads, comfortable with the pre-snap motion, all of that stuff. Once you get that ironed out, and it's going to take some ironing out. Don't get me wrong. It's, Bryce ain't coming out. He's never thrown for 300 yards, right? Yeah. So temper your expectations if you think this guy's going to come out and break the school record for touchdowns thrown in a season. That's not going to happen. But you got all these weapons, right? Just move the ball down the field, punch it in. Move the ball down the field, punch it in. That's all we got to do. Rely on that offensive line. Get your quarterback comfortable, and then start using these weapons. And there's weapons all over the field. Tight end, wide receiver, slot, running back, got an athletic quarterback, got a big offensive line. You just got to, as the coaches said, find the guys you can trust and then move on.
Yeah, hey, give us some likes out there, man. Give us the thumbs up. My final thoughts, real quick. I love look, Arizona's good. They're good. One of the best teams, the last team in the country I'd want to face, but we match up against them. Dusty built this team to win this kind of game. Lendeborg is the difference. When I look at all the chess pieces out there, he's a guy that can step out and make three. And my last thought is this. Of all the things I've been hearing about our football team, this player, that player, this coach, that, you know what I like hearing more than anything? More than anything, when Kyle Whittingham talks to that team, eyes are on coach. There ain't no BS. There ain't no screwing around. Discipline, discipline, discipline. We got it locked in. It's going to trickle on down in everything we do. I'm fired up. That's my final thought. Go Blue. Your final thought, Du.
Yeah, Witt said that he finished the book by John Bacon, Bo's Lasting Lessons, and after he got done reading it, he came to the conclusion that, this is how I like to coach. This is how I like to run the program. And that's exactly what you got right now. Remember when we were in meetings? Bo, you didn't have a hat on.
Yeah.
You didn't have cut off sleeves or a tank top. Your feet were flat on the floor and your eyes were forward. You had a pen and a piece of paper. And you better show up looking like that and paying attention. And that's what they're back to. Nobody's strolling in whenever they get there. And, that's not a surprise. Now, get these spring practices under belt, watch this spring game, and then let these guys get stronger and faster over the fall or over the summer. And then, man, before you know it, we're going to be playing football in August. So let's go, Blue. And this basketball game, holy cow. I can hardly take it, and it's only Wednesday.
It's all blue this weekend, baby. Go Blue. Signing out.
Blue.